Good morning. My name is Dr. Sam Hay and I'm the subject lecturer for EDU121 Critical Thinking for Effective Learning. I'm looking forward to the next 12 or so weeks with you, discussing about thinking in general and critical thinking more specifically, and how this knowledge about thinking can help you in the classroom, can help you in your teaching, can help you to better understand yourself and your life and your work and the world that you live in and how you interact with it, and can help you to put into practice those core beliefs and commitments that you have. I believe very strongly in education and developing skills, in thinking and finding and using knowledge. And I believe strongly in this course. And I'm committed to getting the most out of this course for you and for others around you and for the students that you work with. Before we start, let me tell you a little bit about myself and my background, and I encourage you to go to the Moodle website and also put up some notes to tell us a little bit about yourself, to introduce you and your background, and if you can, to put a video link up there as well so that we can learn a bit more about each other. In my university studies, I focused on the study of science and mathematics and a number of different sciences. And I was passionately interested in finding out about how the world around us works and how through science we could better understand that. After graduating from university, I was also passionately interested in teaching others about science and the methods and approaches of science. And as a Christian, I was passionately interested in teaching others about the Word of God, the Bible, and about our Christian faith and belief. And I worked for a number of years after completing studies in education as a science and maths teacher and also humanities teacher, and then went on to teach biblical studies and also Christian studies. I also had a few years where I worked as a chaplain in schools, and then in more recent times I've been a tertiary college educator teaching adults. I'm married to Debbie, who's also a teacher, a primary school teacher, and a number of my children are also teachers. I've got 3 children and 6 grandchildren. And after completing my bachelor degrees, I went on to complete a master's degree with studies in education and also in theology and Bible and a number of other subjects. And also then went on to do a PhD where I wanted to look at the place of the church in contemporary society and also history of our faith and beliefs and also the social setting. And I completed a PhD on the megachurches today. And if you Google Sam Hay and megachurches, you'll be able to see the work that I've done in that space. And also more recently, I've looked at different ways of learning. And you can also Google Sam Hay and quadrilateral of 4 ways of knowing, and you'll find a bit more about me and my writings there. I've also been a member of the Australian Historical Association, an Australian Sociological Association, and a number of similar associations, history, sociology, and Christian studies overseas. And I'm presently on the board of ANZAT's, Australian New Zealand Association of Theological Schools. So you can see my interests are broad, but they tend to focus on education, science, and Christian studies and biblical studies as well. I've also travelled overseas to a number of different countries in England, France, Spain, Italy, and USA. And more recently, I've been a number of times to Israel to explore the land which we read about in the Bible. And I've poked my nose into archaeological digs and looked at what archaeology can tell us about our faith and our beliefs. And so I'm a committed Christian who very much believes in understanding our faith, but also in having a living relationship with God through Christ and through the Word of God. I'm very interested in the subject that you're about to do on thinking and critical thinking, and I believe that it'll be a great deal of value to you and to the students that you teach in your classes. And I encourage you to build a folio of resources where you develop resources on critical thinking and thinking that you'll be able to use with your students in the years to come. You may also be interested in the ways different people in Australia and from different cultures and overseas, which I'm sure you'll find in your classes, view knowledge and thinking very differently. And in this subject, we want to think of some of the different ways of knowing. And if you're a believer like me, then already there are different experiences that you may have to thinking and knowing that can be different to others who are not church attenders. The study of critical thinking and how people know can be of great value in increasing your self-understanding and understanding your background, your upbringing, and how that shapes your view of the world, how that shapes your worldview. And understanding your own worldview, understanding your own background can be very, very valuable in helping you to understand how people have different backgrounds and different historical and social settings, and they often understand the world in different ways. And it's important for us to appreciate these differences and to recognise the students in our classes can come from many different backgrounds, and we can help them to learn in different ways that fit in with their backgrounds and don't cause them to find a great deal of anguish as they feel that their backgrounds and differences aren't appreciated. We can also look at practical approaches to thinking and critical thinking and develop practical skills and ideas that you can put into practice in the classroom and in your teaching. Why is it important for us to have understanding of critical thinking and understanding of our own ways of thinking? Partly, it helps us to be authentic. It helps us to have greater self-understanding and to be able to communicate this understanding of ourselves and our world in different ways as we appreciate the different backgrounds that people have and how they understand themselves. We live in a world in which there's a huge amount of information all around us. There are many different claims on many different topics, and this avalanche of information, which expands exponentially from day to day, can give our students and ourselves more information than we can easily process. And in this class, we're going to think about some of the skills that we can use to better understand the world around us, to better understand our own views, but also in order to come to a healthy understanding of the life journey and meaning and purpose in life, and that sense of mission purpose, that sense of purpose that we have upon our lives and the call that we have on our lives and how it can be outworked. We're going to look at the history of thinking and ideas from the time of the ancient Greeks and biblical times through history to our own time, and think about the ways in which thinking about thinking has changed over many centuries in order that we might have a healthy historical understanding of the place of the different ways of knowing within the flow of history in order to better appreciate the historical context in which our different approaches to thinking are set. We're going to think about the different social contexts of thinking, but most importantly, we're going to think about how we can put thinking into practice in order to think better, more clearly, more effectively, in order that we can be more effective thinkers in our lives, in our teaching, and in our relationships one with another. Mark Noll once said in a book, The Scandal of the Evangelical Mind, that many Christians, while acknowledging that God creates all things around and that God creates our human capacity to think, as well as being the author and sustainer of human institutions like universities and political parties, and God being the source of all life and creativity, many Christians and evangelicals have neglected opportunity to engage fully with their capacity of thinking, and also because they don't fully engage with the capacity to think, they don't fully engage with all of the opportunities of the natural world around us. When we talk to our students and to children, we often find they have a natural curiosity. They're very interested in the world around us. They're constantly asking the question why and wanting to find out more about the world around us. And it's unfortunate if education and the attitudes of adults like ourselves squeeze that life and interest in thinking out of students. It's very important that we encourage students to think more creatively, more effectively, and to be able to test their approaches to thinking in healthy ways in order that they grow up to be healthy and complete individuals. So in this subject, we're going to be thinking about the difference it makes in our lives, and thinking about the ways in which it can be applied in our teaching, but also it can be applied in gaining a better understanding of ourselves and better understanding of how our ideas and worldview came about, and how our ideas and worldview can be maturing and growing in order that we might be better thinkers and more effective in life, in our call to teaching, and also in all that we do, all that we say, and the ways that we relate to one another. I look forward to working with you in the weeks ahead. I look forward to helping you along the way in order that you might be able to apply what we have learned. You might be able to build resources from what we're looking at each week in order that you might be more effective in your thinking and in your sense of call and mission in life. Thank you. I look forward to working with you each week.